have in our midst esteemed resource person Dr. S.R.Keshava, Professor, Department of Economics, Bangalore University, Bengaluru. It's my pleasure to wholeheartedly welcome you for this session, sir. I thank Dr. S.R.Keshava, sir, for consenting to be our resource person for the day. Now, may I request Mr. Shivakumara N, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to introduce our resource person for the day. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Madam. Good afternoon, one and all present here. Madam, I am audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. It is my honor and privilege to able to introduce to you Dr. S.R.Keshava, sir. Dr. S.R.Keshava is working as Professor of Economics at Bengaluru University, Bengaluru. He has more than 26 years of teaching and research experience. Dr. Keshava has completed MA, MPhil, MBA in the field of economics and management. He holds PhD degree in economics. He has also cleared departmental exams like Accounts Higher General Law Paper 1 and 2. Dr. Keshav authored 9 books, to mention a few: Economics, Economics for Competitive Exams, Amartya Sen, Baba Amte, dead but still alive, like this. He is a pioneer of Agricultural Credit Cooperative Society, as like as Siddhanagowda, Sanna Ramanagowda Patil in 1905. He also edited 2 books, published around 74 research papers in national, international, peer-reviewed journals. Few articles got citations. Dr. Keshav reviewed many books. He has written articles in many newspapers. He is governing council member of many universities. He is a member of many state government committees. Dr. Keshav is the recipient of University Grant Commission Junior Research Fellowship. For his article, An Economic Study on Kanakpura Taluk has been appreciated by the then Industrial Minister P.G.R. Sindhya as excellent academic work. The list is endless. With due respect to time, I request Dr. Keshava sir take over the session. We are very happy and proud to have you here, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure is mine. Thank you for inviting me to share my views on the central budget today. Respected Principal Geeta Madam, good friends over there, Professor Gopal, Yellappa, and MS Nagraj, and all my dear friends over there, colleague friends, as well as the participants. Indeed, very happy to be part of this wonderful session. You know, though it was an interim budget, right? Though it was an interim budget, but the curiosity of it was almost the same, right? People were expecting lots of freebies from this, and because the election was coming, and many were expecting, you know, that they would get this, and probably a direct taxpayer was expecting more concessions, a common man was expecting more freebies. So expectation was endless. So in that context, how was this budget? You know, did it really do good? Because, you know, whenever we analyze the budget, it is not just about the numbers. Whenever we speak about the numbers, you know, I keep on saying that whenever the budget is presented, it's not just about the numbers. It is about the aspirations of the people of the time, about the vision that which is there in the document for the country, and the way they will be implementing it. The roadmap that which they have laid in this document all should matter much more than just the numbers. And moreover, you know, any budget for that matter, whenever it is presented, we should analyze the time in which it is presented. You know, say for example, if it was in the COVID period and we see the economic indicators and we keep saying, no, this is the time wherein this budget was too good or too bad, see, without looking into those macroeconomic parameters at that particular time, then that is not correct. So looking at the scenario in which a budget is presented, then if you analyze it, probably that will give you the clear picture of what exactly the situation is. Because the intentions of the budget will be made clear when you try to understand what were the situations, what were the situations demanding at that point of time. So let us try to understand this, right? Let us try to understand this from the point of what were the uncertainties of the negatives at this point of time. Probably all of you, right? Just some 2-3 years back, we were able to predict, fairly estimate what would happen in another 6 months. Then, at least in what may happen in another 1 week in the international scenario, the economists used to identify and say, okay, this may happen. But now, the only certainty today is the uncertainty, because we are not sure what will happen next week in the economic scenario. To such an extent, the uncertainty is galore is there in front of us. Now the projections look at this. The World Bank is saying, IMF is saying, right, the global growth is projected to weaken this in 2024. So while presenting a budget, finance minister will be worried, what happens with the other countries slowing down, what will happen to India. So all these kinds of issues is always there. And, even according to the OECD, right, according to the OECD also, the whole world economy is now very fragile, right? The very whole world economy is very fragile because of the high interest rates, and inflation is also high. And because, inflation was high, the interest rates were increased in almost all the countries. All this was because of this good amount of money at the time of COVID-19. Many economists at that point of time, including US and European countries, thought it's a right time in case if we don't distribute the money to the people, then they would suffer a lot. So in order to increase the purchasing power of the people, they went on giving money to the people directly. But whereas in India, much of the money was not directly paid to the people. It was for the rations, free rations, 80 crore population received the free rations, and only a small segment of it, less than 1% of our GDP was given in cash. The rest of it was through infrastructure, through investment in the infrastructure India did. So that is the reason that why there is, though in India also there is an inflation, it is not to the extent of what we find it in the rest of the world. So even the net foreign direct investment last year was down. So at this point of time, how will the finance minister respond to this? Okay, despite the macroeconomic fundamentals being strong, if something is going wrong, what exactly they have to do? All this will be in the mind of a finance minister when they are presenting the budget, and it declined on year-on-year basis by 13.54 billion US dollars in from April to November last year. So wherever you see now, every day, whether this war is engaging more countries or whether that war is engaging more countries, because this is more worrisome thing for any economy, because even in the remote part of the world, if something goes wrong, it will be affecting each and every economy. So such is the globalization impact today. And see now with the civil wars are there in the Afghanistan, Ethiopia, Iraq, Yemen, Syria, Somalia, Libya, Central African Republic, Congo, Myanmar, Colombia, all over there are the civil wars going on. And with reference to the Russia-Ukraine war, wherein the whole world thought it is just a cakewalk for the Russians, which did not happen. And again, this war impact all of us have faced, even in India also, to the what extent it had its impact in the initial days. And now Israel, Hamas, and even Lebanon has joined the war. And US is bombing Yemen, Iraq, Iran, whether it the war between this Israel, it is spreading over to the other economies in the Middle East, or what may happen. So all these uncertainties, right? All these uncertainties will be there when the finance minister will be thinking what she has to present to the country at this point of time. So keeping all this in the background, right? Keeping all this in background, you should analyze the budget. Under these uncertainties, under these presenting a budget. And moreover, is only the uncertainty, very negative thoughts, only by ruling the world, or something positive also was there? Probably this question would be asked by any sensible person. But there were some good positives also. It is not that there were only negatives to look into and there were no positives. Even I don't believe in that. And what were the positives, right? What were the positives, if at all, if you look at it, countries like India, right? Countries like India, the direct tax collection also increased, indirect tax collections also increased. that was a great added advantage. And moreover, when we are speaking of moving away from COVID-19, right? When we are speaking of moving away from COVID-19, India came out very strongly because, probably all of us are aware of this fact, right? In 2020, we went 2 years backward. It was a 2 years backward. Our economy shrink by almost by 6.7% negatively. So when it was the case, so how exactly India would come back? Everybody was thinking in that context. But India was the first economy to come back almost completely out of COVID-19, and India is now not just one of the fastest growing economy, now it is the fastest growing major economy in the world. So to that extent, it was positive. And moreover, when we are speaking of the GST tax collections, almost, what is the new normal? New normal is 1.60 lakh crores, because 7 times we achieved this, right? 7 times in the last financial year, we just achieved, in this financial year, we already have attained 1.60, crossed 1.60 lakh crores every month. And what is the normal, or what is the average for this first 9 months of this year, of this financial year, is almost 1.66 lakh crore. 1.66 lakh crores is the average, right? Is the average GST collections that which every month which India did. So, and when you speak of the direct tax collections also, it was a huge collections. 14.70 lakh crores was collected by 10th January 2024. So this was increase of from 19.4% when you compare this with the last year average at the same point of time, right? By 10th January 23, it was almost 19.41% increase when you compare to the last year at the same time. So that is an advantage, right? That is the advantage that which India enjoyed. And there is a positivity almost in the entire economy, in the sense that, okay, now we are fastest growing economy, we'll be attaining 5 trillion by 2027. Even it may come in 2026 also. By 2030, India will be an 8 trillion economy. So all these, phenomena is just, having a widespread positive effect across the country. And moreover, even there's a digital revolution in terms of the transaction which is happening digitally. And when it began, especially in the demonetization period, many economists, including me, we thought, in the country like India, whether this will be successful. So, but beyond anybody's imagination, it has reached even the common man. And the UPI rails around 182 lakh crores of transaction within a year in 2023. This is a huge amount of money which has been transacted, and so that is where exactly the positivity was there. And when even much before all this, we were speaking of the January, but much speaking of the January also, right? When we are speaking of the October 2023 itself, even when everybody was saying India was really doing well, the World Bank gave a good amount of expected a good amount of favorable macroeconomic indicators for India. So this is the table that which I have taken from the expectations that which the World Bank released in the October of 2023. If you see this, probably India was the only country where even there they thought it would be probably just 6.3, 6.5% would be the growth. But India, it went beyond the expectations of anyone and reached almost 7.3% of the growth in the constant prices. And even the private consumption, what was the expectation of the World Bank in the October month which was projected for the India in 23-24 fiscal year. So we crossed that, 6.3 is what they were expecting in October 2023. But the initial estimates now it is telling India is around 7.3%. So why I'm putting this table is, basically everybody thought India would really do well, and they were showing very positive signs of major economic factors. But none of them expected that India would do much better than what they're expecting. So none of these agencies could even grasp that, the amount of development that was happening, and they were saying India would be fastest growing economy, but it will be around 7.5 to 6.3, 6.7, up to 6.7 many agencies did project, but none of the economists. And there are other indicators also over here. You can just check private consumption, right? Government consumption. All is fairly doing better, right? All of them are doing better, even with reference to even their expectations also. But now the initial estimate is telling that we are doing much better than what even the World Bank is estimated in the October 2023. So this is where the advantage for the India lies. This is where the advantage for the India lies. People were expecting, and the whole world was looking, but it never thought that India would do this much better and help the world economic growth. So now, with this background, right, when you are trying to understand this, there were negatives, right? There were negatives of uncertainty across the world because, as I was telling you, you cannot even estimate or predict what exactly would be the factor that will be happening next week. All of a sudden, some factor would happen, some political scenario factor will happen over there, or some war will erupt, and it will be disrupting the supply chain of the whole world, and including India. So these are the kinds of scenario in which we were, and because civil wars in many countries, and the Israel-Hamas war, which is also spreading now slowly, and then the Russia-Ukraine war, which is never showing the signs of stopping. So all these kinds of scenario was there. And foreign direct investment is coming down. But look at the plus point. The plus point is your direct tax collections was good. Indirect tax collections were good. And the new normal itself was 1.60 lakh crores. And the average is 1.66 lakh crore per month. That was the collection. And we collected around 14.70 lakh crores of direct taxes by 10th January. So these were all the positives. So with this, what was probably in the mind, and now it is very clear because almost a week from now, all of you have seen what exactly is there in the interim budget, how exactly the things are there. All of us know. Before analyzing this budget, in this budget, one thing is, though it's an interim budget, the expectations was high. That is number one, because election is just another 45 to 50 days away. So people were expecting, every segment was expecting MSME, agriculture, industry, right, farmers, common man. So everybody, every section of the society and every sector were expecting, at least because there is an election, now probably would be getting a better deal. So this was what everybody was expecting. But, the finance minister, did not announce any of these kinds of things. Instead of it, she was trying to understand she was trying to prepare India for 2047. How exactly the roadmap should be there till 2047. How we can attain the Vikasit Bharat, where there will be a prosperous Bharat in almost all the segments, modernized linked with the traditional Indian knowledge system. How exactly we will be the prosperous Bharat by 2047. So all this document, blueprint is available is interim budget. The good thing about this budget, though generally, I leave it to the one who listens to when I will be analyzing whether this is a good budget or a bad budget to think about that budget. But when I was overall one factor, this is the world wherein the freebies are ruling the whole world, because every country they are saying, okay, every country is saying, okay, we are giving these freebies to their countries, and every state in this country also in one way or the other way. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. From the economic perspective, any freebie given for a long run is not good. But here my discussion is not whether the freebies are good or bad, but here my discussion is when the entire gambit, when there is when somebody gives something, the other party or other party will just try to give much better than that and try to woo the voters. In such a scenario, when the finance minister presented this budget, you cannot even pinpoint one factor and say, okay, this is the freebies that which they're trying to woo a certain sections of the society. So this is free from the election thinking, right? This is free from the conventional thinking that at time of election we should announce a lot of freebies. At least that they have come out of it. So that is one beautiful thing as a student of economics I did like a lot when it came to this budget. So giving us a blueprint of what we have to do, how exactly the Vikasit Bharat should look in by 2047. So all these factors have come to the limelight. And one more thing, when growth is moving fast forward pace, the most important thing that which we see at that point of time is, everybody will be thinking whether this will be sustained for a longer run. It's quite natural, when the growth is on the fast forward phase, whether this is inclusive. But government is claiming, and we can also see it on the ground. What it is, it is not just it is sustainable because it's inclusive. If at all you have a $5 trillion economy also, and if it doesn't matter much to me or it doesn't do anything for me, then it cannot sustain. It's country is about the people. If it doesn't involve every section of the society, each and every individual of the society, then it is not sustainable. It's quite clear. So that is where this budget is making an important inroads and saying, no, we are towards the inclusive development, people-centric development. Even each and every individual will be taken care. How we will be taken care, even that, blueprint is available in this budget. That is where exactly they are saying it's not just to the physical, digital, but also social, forms of infrastructure. We will be developing substantial development in almost all the segments. And, we will be very inclusive and will be people-centric. Inclusive itself means people-centric, and they are saying it's a common man-centric budget. So, centric development. And the most important factor, probably all of us know, this DBT has done a lot of good things for this country, because probably all of us are aware of what Rajiv Gandhi said when he was a prime minister. He was referring to the fact that whenever the government spends 1 rupee, just lesser than 16 paisa will reach to the common man. He was speaking in with reference to rural development programs. So now, whatever the government is putting into the account, it is directly going to the beneficiary, not even 0.001% loophole. Because, if it happens, it should happen only when he's withdrawing if something goes wrong. Otherwise, directly it is going to his account. Garib Kalyan, Desh Ka Kalyan is happening because of this DBT. Because, whatever, even government is saving a lot of money. There are no intermediaries here, there is no via media here. So government is also saving around 2.7 lakh crores. And, people are also getting benefit out of this. This is one of the reasons that which a lot of people are coming out of the multidimensional poverty index. So that is what government is claiming, around 25 crore people moved out of the multidimensional poverty during this particular point of time. So we can understand this, this is not just, that's what I said, what is the vision of the government that is there in the budget, and the inspirations of the people. The inspirations and aspiration of the people. So the aspiration, at the one hand, it will be always there, I should get something freely, will be always there in the mind. But, when they understand, right, they are included by giving jobs so that they will be getting the income, so that they can buy the goods of their choice, then they will also be happy. So that is the terminology, that is the strategy that which this budget has involved, and that is where it has made a lot of difference. And there are good, the entire budget also speaks about the document. It's a document where it also speaks about the government's achievement in this 10 years, where its achievement in this past 10 years, what it has done, how it has empowered the youth, how it has empowered the farmers, right? How it has helped the women. So all this is also there, because budget is basically concentrating on youth, farmers, women, right, and poor. So these are the 4 major segments that which the entire budget. If you cover this, then it will become inclusive. Who is left out generally? When we are speaking of who is left out in the process of growth generally. Generally, we are leaving out the poor because he cannot afford, and so that is why he is poor also. In the other way around, because the growth, the fruits of the growth is not there, and the fruit growth is not received by the common man, so or by the poor person. That's why they are poor. So in this context, they are saying, the fruits of this growth will be reaching each and every person. So they're concentrating on the poor, they're concentrating on the youth. Why youth? Because now India is a young India. So that is most important thing, and India is enjoying the demographic dividend, and it will enjoy it till 2055. So this is the time, probably if at all, why Japan is now a developed country, because when they enjoyed the demographic dividend, they grew almost in their entire 18 years, they grow by two digits. That is how their growth was, tremendous growth. Now India is enjoying the demographic dividend, and we should reap that. In case if you don't reap that, then it will be inconvenient. How to reap it? So in one way, you should impart a quality education, impart the quality education to the youths who are there in the education now. And another important thing is, those who are neither in education nor in training should be brought to the training. So that is what we call NEET. NEET is not in education, not in training, not in employment. So this NEET should be neatly handled so that this youth will be really skilled, so that they can not just get the job, but they can also give the job. So this is the overall idea when we speak of the budget and their plans till 2047. So this is empowering the youth is one thing. The existing youth, who is there in the education should be getting the quality education plus skill. Those who are not in education, not in employment, they should be given training, they should be given skill, imparted the skill. So this is number one. And another important thing is what after getting the skill. So somebody should give you helping hand, right? Somebody should give you the helping hand by giving the loans, but who will give? So that is where the concept of this Mudra Yojana came, and here the allocations has increased, right? That is what they're doing. In this budget document also very clear that almost 43 crore loans were sanctioned in this past 10 years. So that is one good advantage that has happened to the youths, because there is one PM Mudra Yojana which gives the loan to those youngsters who are willing, right? Those who are willing to start their own enterprises. So that is one good thing about that. And for the farmers, right? For the farmers, there are good amount of schemes which has been continued that what was there in the previous budget, because full-fledged budget you can. That's what the finance minister has told. In the full-fledged budget, I'll be giving you much better than what I'm giving you in the interim budget. So there she is saying in this budget, in the interim budget, she is claiming that direct financial assistance 11.8 crore farmers under the PM Kisan, and the crop insurance to around 4 crore farmers, right? Prime Minister Fasal Bima Yojana, and integration of mandis under the ENAM. So the trading volume has almost supporting for around 3 lakh crores. So all this for the farmers and for the women, because they are the one segment who can do a lot of difference, right? If the woman is empowered, then the entire country is empowered. So, but still, after saying all this, what's the female participation in the workforce? When we speak of that, then the rate shown will be always less, right? But, gradually it is increasing. That is one good thing. But let me also tell you here, basically, when we are speaking of women participation in the labor force, and we quote in 26, 27%, but I don't feel it is fairly a good thing. This is my purely a personal opinion. Because, when you speak of agriculture, it's about the feminization of agriculture. When you speak of the industry, it is almost slowly now women entrepreneurs are moving and becoming a good amount of entrepreneurs are there, even in the micro, small and medium enterprises. So everywhere you are finding the woman. But even if you go to the retail sector, either even for the small shops, the woman is running those shops. But where exactly this definition is not showing that. When we're speaking of it, it is saying it has been just no data either which has been done by the private agencies or the government agencies is crossing around 29.6%. But where exactly this is happening? This is basically because only when they own it, right? Say for example, woman is working in the field, but the field is in the husband's name, then she is not treated as if she is working over there. So it is basically the husband who is shown as the owner and who is working. So this definition lacuna is taking one such thing, but even then also, that should be corrected, but even then, how exactly the Nari Shakti is respected over here. That is also an important factor that which we should look at here. So one is the document also speaks, budget document is also speaking about 30 crore Mudra Yojana loan which has been dispersed to the women entrepreneurs. So how exactly even their female enrollment in the higher education has increased in the past 10 years. So that is on the female enrollment in the STEM, this science, technology, mathematics, so it is increasing. So their female enrollment for the first time has, is more than that of the men in the context of STEM. So all this is the another positive flavor which has happened during these days. But here when we are pointing it out this, let me also tell you, where exactly the government has done a beautiful change with reference to this. Because one beautiful thing that which the government has tried to incorporate here is the Ladli Lakpati Didi, right? Lakpati Didi is there. What exactly is this Lakpati Didi all about? Within a year, the woman should be able to earn around 1 lakh rupees. Now, there are 1 crore women. In this budget, in this interim budget, government is telling that it will increase it to 3 crores. So from 1 crore women from the 83 lakh self-help groups, right, has been become already the Lakpati Didis. Lakpati is, earning around 1 lakh rupees, right, earning around 1 lakh rupees in a month. Earning around 1 lakh rupees in a month. That is the concept of this. Now, 3 crore women. The target is that within this, so they will see that there will be 3 crore women in this, 2 crore will be the addition within this year. They will become Lakpati Didis. So this is Lakpati Didi means prosperous sisters. So that is how exactly they are planning. But it's, this is a good thing. It is not just, these women will be helped by imparting the skills to them. When they are imparting the skills to them, definitely they will, this is not just for 1 year they will be earning it. It is not like that the scheme is aiming only at the 1. It is for every year they will be, probably that 1 lakh will be, next year it will increase to 1 lakh 15, 1 lakh 30,000, depending on, how they improvise on it. So that is the advantage that which this budget, is throwing a light on it and helping the other women to become Lakpati Didis. This 83 lakh self-help groups are there, right? 83 SHGs are there. In this 83 self-help groups, they want to convert them into viable income generating groups. Self-help groups into viable income generating groups. That is one very, very good thing that which is happening. What they're saying is we will train this woman, right? We will train this woman and see that they will start their own enterprise. So then who will be doing the hand holding? Government is saying, no, we will be doing the hand holding. We will not just train them. We will also do the hand holding. We will also help them to procure the raw materials. We will train them. We will procure them the raw materials. And after procuring the raw materials, we will also train them in producing that commodity that which they are aspiring for. And then for branding also. It is not just, for producing that commodity, but also for branding it and for marketing it. So the entire package is that, hand holding, if it is done for a year or two, then probably these women will stand by themselves and they will definitely, they will become what the government is aiming at, the prosperous sisters, right? The prosperous sisters, Lakpati Didis, will increase up to 3 crores. And moreover, it is not just for one time. It is a continuous process, Not this year it will be 1 lakh and probably next year other than that, probably it keeps on increasing. And that is where the self-help group will become income generating, right? Income generating, viable, not just income, viable income generating groups. That is one good thing. And when we are speaking of the Nari Shakti, the another important thing that which I observed was, the cervical cancer is one such deadly disease which is attacking, which is more commonly found among women. And this is the 4th largest killer in terms of during the cancer patients. And it's a quite frequent cancer in the women. The first one will be the breast cancer, the second one will be the lung, and the third will be the colorectal cancer. And the 4th is the cervical cancer. So the cervical cancer, the government has thought of this, and it is giving the free vaccination for the girls between the ages of 9 and 14. This is really a welcome step, because when you know that there is a deadly disease which is attacking the woman, and so the government is planning to give the free vaccinations to the women in the ages of, to the girls in the ages of 9 to 14 is really a well thought of move, and one has to really appreciate such a move. And moreover, the entire budget, in the document, you can find how the allocations will be done for these four sectors, as speaking of youth, poor, farmers, and Nari Shakti, how they will be earning, right? How they will be getting, they will be increasing their purchasing power through a viable income generating opportunities, how they will be doing. So all these are the factors, right? All these are the factors that which, and when we're speaking of the youths, the another factor which came to my, which struck my eye on that day was, generally we speak of this research and development, the money is not, enough money is not allocated in the budget, not even by the private companies also don't allocate enough money for development. Even small companies many times will be spending much higher than what many countries in the world will be spending. Even it's with the reference to the India also, India's spending on research and development is lesser than what Google is spending or what an alphabet company is spending on research and development. So in such a scenario, what the government is thinking, okay, let us also try to inspire private agencies, right, who, in case if they wish to, right, in case if they wish to invest in the research and development, so they should also be getting, especially in the for those who want to do the innovation in the sunrise sectors, right, for those who want to do the sunrise sectors. So the loan will be given almost for 50 years, interest-free loans. The loan will be given for 50 years. So the money that which is kept is 1 lakh crores, right? 1 lakh crore. So 1 lakh crore is kept as an corpus fund, and so they can draw the money from there for 50 as a 50 long-term loan, 50 years loan, an interest-free loan, and invest that in the research and development. So this will help the youth in a larger way, because more and more employment will be created out of that new innovated things, and so all this will be to help the youth, and thereby the economic development will happen. So then the another important factors is, as I was telling you, this period, Amrit Kal period, which they are calling it till 2047, the 25. From 22-23 to 2047, that period is called as an Amrit Kal. And in this budget, they are saying this Amrit Kal as a Kartavya Kal. Amrit Kal is a Kartavya Kal. How exactly this Amrit Kal should be treated as the period of duty, right? So all of us should do our duty, whatever, as a teacher, what I should do, I should do. As a student, what one should do, they should do. As a research scholar, what one has to do, they have to do it. So what a teacher has to do, they have to do their role. What a politician is role, they have to do. So their role, they have to do. So this is Kartavya Kal. So it's not just about what we are getting. So what we are doing also should matter. That is the reason that why in this budget, they are speaking of Amrit Kal as a Kartavya Kal. Only when all of us do our work, right? When all of us do our work, only then, India will become, what all of us are thinking, India should rightly deserve to be an economic superpower by 2047. Yes, India will definitely become. Whether it be 30 trillion economy, 35 trillion economy, or $40 trillion economy by 2047, it all depends on all of us. That is the reason that why they have called this Amrit Kal as a strategy, as a Kartavya Kal in this budget document, which always strikes anybody's eyes who look at this document. Well, very few things, which you cannot leave it unnoticed. One of such thing is this Kartavya Kal. So this in this Kartavya Kal, how exactly they're doing this strategy for the development from the government side, and what we have to do, all of us should do that. All of us should do our roles and duties honestly. Only then things will improve. And then we are speaking of the sustainable development, right? Sustainable development, and more of this we are also speaking of attaining the zero carbon emissions, right? Attaining the zero carbon emissions, because this is the need of the day, climate change. Because even now, India, wherein more or 46.5% of the persons are dependent on agriculture for their livelihood. In such a scenario, when climate change affects it, and it will be definitely a hit to all of them as well as to the food security in this country. So how exactly to minimize it? How exactly to minimize the climate changing effect? So, so all this has been planned, and only thing is now, in this budget, what they have done, let me also throw some light on that. They are giving solar rooftops to generate electricity for around 1 crore households. This is also free, right? 1 crore solar panels, like rooftops, for the 1 crore household. So 1 crore households means easily around 4.5 crores to 5 crores of people in this country, right, will be benefited out of this. So what is this scheme all about? One thing is it will be solarizing the rooftops is generating around 300 megawatt of electricity, So whatever is the need of that particular household, they can use that. Rest of it at the market rate, whatever they are buying, they can sell it, right, again to the companies over there, right, whichever is a distributing company, and so they will be giving it to they will be distributing it and selling it. So this is what the plan is all about. So government is saying, right, every year, around 18,000 these households may save because of that. So how the savings will happen? 18,000, how they will save? One is they will be utilizing the electricity for their own consumption. That is number one. Number two, after utilizing this electricity, whatever is surplus, they will be selling it. So that selling of the surplus electricity, utilizing it completely and selling only the surplus electricity will generate around 18,000 per year. So this is what the government has made it clear, and this is really a good thing. One place it is environment friendly, where it will be with zero carbon emission, and the second one is these households will not be paying anything for the electricity up to 300 kilowatts, which they are generating for themselves. If they don't want to sell and want to use all the 300 kilowatts, they can use it. And if their usage is say around 150 to 200 kilowatts, then they can sell around 100 to 150 kilowatts to the back to the company, and so that they will be selling it to who needs it. So these kinds of innovative, right? These kinds of innovative things are there in this interim budget. And of course, as I was telling you, how the 2023, the foreign direct investment net FDI inflow decreased, how exactly to double the FDI inflow, how to increase the capex, right, capital expenditure. So all these are clearly planned, and even the inclusive development, what the government is thinking is, how exactly this aspirational district program should be more strengthened, so that it will be faster development, and how the employment generations can be strengthened further. So all these are there. And of course, the regular schemes from the past 2-3 years, from 3 years, this post-term was implemented. So that has been continued with an with the additional funds for it. And of course, the Ayushman Bharat scheme, right? Ayushman Bharat scheme. This again, another, though it's a health program, it also helps the Nari empowerment or women empowerment, right? Ayushman Bharat scheme has been extended to all Asha, Anganwadi helpers also. That is another plus point with which we are seeing in this budget. And, of course, when we're speaking of the inclusive development, right? When we're speaking of the inclusive development, we did discuss it in the initial phase itself, how it has to be reached. So in case if a family is not having the houses, right, the family is not having the house, then the government in this budget, another 5 years, they're planning another 2 crore houses in the next 5 years. That's what the government is planning. So now they're almost achieved. The government is saying that it has almost achieved the target of distributing around close to 3 crore houses. So another 2 crore they're planning for the next 5 years, including this coming financial year. So especially for those lower lower middle class, those who don't have the house. So for them also, in order to construct the house, they will also be promoted. And another important noticeable thing is about the tourism. So states will be encouraged to undertake the development of the iconic tourist centers. This is one segment probably India should utilize to a very greater extent. Whenever probably when you'll be traveling to the rest of the world, you will be seeing, those countries don't have much heritage sites, but they will be encashing on whatever is there and trying to project as if everything is there in this country. But in our country, everything is there. Either we want to do the historical tourism, spiritual tourism, right? You name it, it is there. So those initiatives had to be encouraged, right? That is, in this tourism, this not only gives you the employment, this also develops the ambience, this also protects those heritage sites, this also helps in the improving the standard of living of many segments, right? Of many sectors. So tourism helps your hospitality industry, tourism helps your hotel industry. So you can it provides employment to the youths. Good number of initiatives can be done. So this is the reason tourism is given a lot of importance in this interim budget, and where they are saying, how to undertake, how exactly the state should go forward, and what will be the role of the central government in helping them to identify and to promote those tourism. So all this, because it will definitely help the local entrepreneurship and also promote the opportunities in a big way. And it will also give jobs for the youths. So this is what we thought. And, even the government, central government has announced there will be a long-term interest-free loans will be given to the state governments, right? They'll be giving the free interest-free loans to the governments so that they can take up all the basic infrastructure which is required for developing these kinds of things. Of course, Lakshadweep also will be developed along with the many other islands. They will be provided with the basic communities. So all that is there in this interim budget. And of course, for the agriculture, as I was telling you previously itself, because farmer is also one of the very important component on the very farmer development is a very important from the point of inclusive development. So these four segments which they have identified, four sectors which they have identified, always agriculture is also getting a major boost in that. What are the under Atmanirbhar Bharat, probably all of us know how the government was initiating to build more infrastructure for the agriculture. So now, even in this budget also, it has continued, and the oil seeds abhiyan, dairy development, Matsya Sampada, and even you are finding it here, one more food processing, doubling the exports, doubling the exports up to 1 lakh crores. That is what the aim is all about, doubling the exports to 1 lakh crores and generating around 5 lakh new jobs. So that is what the government is planning here. And this micro food processing enterprise, this is really a good project. If the rural youth is trained in this, because you are finding the millets now, the market for the millets has increased to a greater extent. Now, if you process it, right? If you process it into multiple of things from the millets or from the other agriculture output, definitely if these micro food enterprises will be established, in case the government is providing the loan also and training also to the youths. And in this interim budget also, they are clearly stating that be encouraged. So micro food processing enterprise schemes. So if but in case if at all if the government stipulates that the rural youths will be given preference to begin with the micro food processing enterprise, then it will take it in a much better way. So this is what I personally think. But overall, when we see this budget, a lot of focus is given on the women, a lot of focus is given on the poor, youth, right? So these and women. So these segments, this includes the real Bharat. This includes the real Bharat because these were the sections which were neglected from quite a long time. So because now youth should be encouraged, because if at all if you're not doing that in the demographic pyramid, then when we will be doing it? So that is the importance of this. And if you want to see the other macroeconomic indicators, how is GDP and other factors have been projecting in this budget, the same slides have been taken from what the government has given in its highlights. The same slides we have taken it from there. So you can see in the declining current account deficit as a percentage of GDP over the years, right? This is what the estimates are also there for the financial year 24. And whereas the declining unemployment rate, in this probably you will be, I do know that you will be definitely having a good amount of this on. Government is projecting as a declining unemployment rate, and CMI is saying in the month of October, unemployment rate was very high. So what exactly is this all about? And, I'll definitely answer if you have those type of questions, but if you are aware of government schemes and even many state government schemes also in this context also will help to generate more demand. Of course, central government is doing it consistently, which we can discuss. And then, declining NPAs, this is also one area where majority of us will be thinking, this NPA should be, because, every student of economics and commerce should be thinking NPA, gross area should be curtailed. Only then the economy can be well developed, because the banking institutions should be freed from this non-performing assets. So how exactly they will be recovering from it? So the declining NPAs is showing better performance of the country overall, especially in the repaying of the loans and everything. So that is one advantage, right? That is one good thing that which we are finding it out here. And the digital transaction is already told you that is increasing with every passing month, not passing year, I'm saying with every passing months, the digital transactions are increasing in this country, and people are having trust more and more, showing more and more faith and trust in that. One only thing is, also is taking more steps, and we should also be more aware that we will not be falling trap to any scams, because more of the digital transaction, more of the eyes of the fraudsters trying to snatch our money also. We should be a little more cautious, and we should clearly know to which link we are sending the money, whether we should. So all these kinds of things we should be very clear. So that is another important thing that which you should be clearly aware of. And another important thing is, GST collection, as I told you, the new normal itself is around, average itself is 1,70,000 crores every month. And this will be a new normal from probably this budget. After this, probably when they announce the next budget, I'm sure it will be 1.8 lakh crores will be new normal, or even 1.9 lakh crores, because the way in which we are progressing it is really good. And the fall in headline inflation also is a good sign for the economy, because in this headline inflation always will be curtailing your purchasing power. So once it comes down, so probably the people will be having more money to spend, and that will be an advantage to them. And in case of taxation reforms, not much, because whatever they have done in this past 10 years, they have documented that. But one good thing that which the interim budget have announced is, the most important thing is that there are some disputes from the income tax department over the years, right? Over the years, not just in 2000s, but it was even from 1962, few from them 1967. So there were lots and lots of tax demands. So what the government has done is, they are till financial year 2010, they have withdrawn whatever was the difference amount which was dispute money up to 25,000 till 2010. They have withdrawn that. And up to financial year 15, from 11 to 15, so what if the difference amount is around 10,000? That's a disputed money between the income tax department, direct taxes department, and the individual. So they have withdrawn all that outstanding direct tax demand. So the government is estimating around 1 crore taxpayers will be benefited out of this. So rest of the tax rates, same thing has been retained. So there's no much change in that. There is no change. There is no change whatsoever in that. So the allocations, so probably all of you have seen this. So allocations have been given to all the ministries, so all the sectors, right? MG Narega, one scheme, in case if you are linking it with the employment, this is what I'm saying. On the one hand, when after COVID-19, some of those who went to the villages have stayed back over there. That's the reason that why from around 44-45% to 46.5% of the people. So around 1.5% to 2% of jump in the rural area, rural workforce. So in such a case, they will be demanding, right? They will be demanding the jobs under the MG Narega. So that is the reason that why from 60,000, they have hiked it to 86,000 crores. And Ayushman Bharat for the health sector also, the allocation marginally has been increased. And then the production linked incentive scheme is one good scheme, right, for which in additions has done so 4,645 crores to 6,200 crores. So so for almost every semiconductors also the allocation has increased for the production of them. So this is for the green economy, solar power grid, national green hydrogen mission. So all this has been done. So if at all, if you are looking at the recipient expenditures, right, revenue expenditure, revenue receipts has also increased, and the capital receipts are declining. So that's one good thing. And look at this revenue expenditure, right? When we speak of, when we're speaking of the revenue receipts, right? When we're speaking of the revenue receipts, so this will not create, right? All of us are aware of this. This will not create any assets, right? This will not create lead to the creation of fixed assets. It will grow. It will go to the basically it will go to the salaries, interest payments, and so on and so forth. When you're speaking of the capital receipts, right? Capital receipts, this is the money which has been raised from the loans from the various sources of funds in for the long-term development needs. Right, so capital receipts have declined, but this is not the only one which you have to see. What is the effective capital expenditure? That is one indicator that which you have to see over there. So from if you see the effective capital expenditure, you'll be understanding that this effective capital expenditure has increased. So you may be asking me why capital expenditure has decreased and how effective capital expenditure has increased. It is because this happens even with the granting aid children, granting aids plus capital expenditure. So both will be there. So which added together now is around 15 lakh crores. So this huge money will be spent on the capital expenditure. The revenue expenditure also has increased, right? Revenue expenditure also has increased. This will be basically, as I told you, right, the money that which they will be spending. The revenue receipts comes, and whatever the revenue receipts, so on the revenue expenditure, they will be spending it on interest, salaries, everything. Whereas on the revenue receipts is one which the government gets. That is what all of us know about it. And look at the fiscal position of the government. If you see this, right, 23-24, it was 10 lakh crores. This was the capital expenditure, capex. This is the one which helps us, to build the multiplier effects, to give the multiplier effects. When there is an investment, it will increase your income, it will increase the employment opportunities, right? Investment will increase the employment opportunities, increase in your income, increase in the purchasing power. So that is the multiplier effect which will happen due to capital expenditure, capex, which we popularly call. So that is the good thing that it is happening. And if you see the overall expenditure, it has also increased to 45 lakh crores in the last budget to revised estimates from 24-25, budget estimates of 24-25, marginally to around 2.65 lakh crores increased. So it is around 47.65 lakh crores. And another indicator which, as in student of economics, which I'll be always concerned, is about this fiscal deficit. So all of us know what it was in 2021, it was around 9.5%, 9.3%, 9.5%. So it was enormous at that point of time because after COVID-19, the government presented budget in 2021. So it was because the government had spent a huge money, almost 10% of its GDP in coming out of that. So the fiscal deficit was 9.5%. So gradually they are bringing it down. It's not that easy to bring it down also. The government, because of its financial prudence, fiscal discipline, it is estimating it may come down to 5.1% in this 24-25 fiscal year. So this is the data we have taken it from the government websites only. And from where the rupee comes to and from where the rupee goes to, this is where the rupee goes to. Look at how much we are spending on the interest payments. We are spending almost 20 paisa for the interest payments, a huge amount. And look at every part of it, where exactly the expenditure is going, finance commission, other transfers, how this is become a big news. So why Karnataka is getting less, why UP is getting higher, why southern states, all of the southern states starting with get what the Uttar Pradesh, that probably comes under this, right? Subsidies, as actually subsidies are cut, have been curtailed, improved, I should say. So this is what on the rupee. For income tax around 19 paisa, excise duties around 5 paisa, so all this corporation tax 17 paisa for every rupee. So this is how the borrowings and other liabilities almost 28%. So still it is within the limits. That is the reason that why we do not have to worry much, because whenever many of the times they'll be asking me whether it's good to borrow. I say, this question I cannot answer this question unless and until you say me why you borrow. So if you're borrowing for productive purposes, it's good. If you're not borrowing for the productive purposes, then it's bad. If you're investing on infrastructure, it is good. If you're investing on unproductive expenditure, it is bad. So this is what I always believe in. This is all about the interim budget. That's why once again, and the SSMRV college, wherein I have been associated for quite a long time. So for giving me this opportunity to share my views on the central budget. If you have any queries, we will take one after the another. So thank you for your patient listening. But please do feel to raise the queries if you have. You can text it as the organizers have advised you to do. Then we'll take one.
Dear audience, kindly post in your questions or queries in the chat box. We'll be taking it up. Now the session is open for question answer. Any queries, kindly post it. So we have a question from Dr. Sharmila, Seshadripuram College. Government has bought out NEP 2020, which is followed throughout the country successfully. What is the budget allocation for vocation-based education? Kindly throw some light on it. This is the question asked by Dr. Sharmila, sir.
It is there in the document. I have not, it is there in the document. I should check it. The individual allocation for each of the training, each of the segment. Vocational also have allotted good amount of money. If you see if you have the copy of this speech of this in this document, it is there. And if you don't have the copy, also I'll send you. So almost all those things are available. We post it on the group. You can check out how much on each allocations they have done. But one good thing about NE, let me, without hesitation, say you with the reference to the SAPs, it's giving on the hands-on training, and these type of watertight compartments which we have made for ourselves in terms of arts, commerce, science, that will be slowly moved out, waved out. And probably, the only degree that which very soon we'll be seeing is there will be no BA, BSc, or BCom. Every degree will be called it as a BS. So similar kind of a thing will be coming very soon. So that either a economic student can also if interested can do research or collaborate with the research in the physics, or even e-commerce and the economics collaborate and do it. So these kinds of advantages always there. So that is the reason that why this NEP must be there. And each of this individual location, I will send it across to the group and you can just look into it because each of them have a separate location. Yes.
So we have
one more
another question. Yeah. We have another question been asked by Dr. Lavanya K. Let us know how good is the new tax regime for professionals and salaried employees.
So I was also under the impression that the old tax system is good for those who have EMI, those who have taken the housing loans and all. But I just cross-checked both this time and saw that the new tax regimes is better. I saved around, to be honest with you, around 9,000 rupees. Not much a difference, but even 9,000 is a good money when you can save just by filing it in the new tax format. And moreover, very simple things, not much to give. You not have to give your LIC, housing. I have taken loan from the LIC HFL. I did not have to. The statement was ready, but I don't have to give that. Nor you, if at all, if you are staying even in the rented house, no need to give your rent receipts. So no documents required. Only thing is you have to state your gross salary, then the amount will also be shown to you. And that whatever is the relaxation which will be, your standard deduction is allowed in the new format now. And kindly check even the salaried class business persons who have this, the only impression in the beginning which I had was, so the old tax, is always good if they have taken loans and they're paying their EMI. So that will be better. So, but this year I found, the rates of both of them and compared them, and I found even while paying a good amount of taxes, I saved around 9,000 rupees. That's really good. So go for, kindly check with both of it if you have taken loan. Otherwise, if you have no loan liabilities, then better go for the new one. Even if you have taken, then check for the slabs. It's very easy if you can go in for their website and asking for the calculator, and you can just add your if you can type your total amount of total income of that particular year, that financial year, then automatically the rest of things will fall in place and you will be knowing how much you have to pay. So based on that, you please kindly decide. And one more thing, that which I felt happy was from the day one, this is my 26th year in the service, and before that also I was in the state government, and no year I have given it to, I have taken the help of any auditor or accountant to file my income tax returns, because I always felt being an economics student I should do it, and I also say it same to my commerce management friends of mine also. We are all the streams in all systems are concerned subjects. All of us should be able to do it. Even now probably if the more and more jobs who are dependent on this, probably they will be losing out on the jobs. Because now it has been made more friendly, and you can calculate it automatically. So this time I didn't take much of the time in trying to identify the new tax format. It was so easy now. Some 7 to 8 columns at the most. Not even that much. It's pretty easy.
So we have another question.
I'm seeing this question. Yes, I saw this question. Why is the allocation for education sector comparatively low compared to the other countries? This probably, every government, whenever it forms a committee, it says 6% of the GDP should be given to the education sector. But unfortunately, because of the other pressing commitments of the government, till now, no government is able to attain this. Hope in this full-fledged budget, whichever government do it, let them at least allocate 6% of the money for the GDP. Even when you compare to the BRIC countries, right? When you compare with the BRIC countries also, the amount of money that which you are spending on education is relatively far less. Only when we invest in it, probably that is the reason that why you're asking why we are spending low. It is every one is, all these years, the total money that which we had was also less. The total resources which we had was also less. Now we are getting a good amount of money from the GST, from the taxes also. But again, income tax per year number is just 2.2% of the entire population. So this also should increase. Only then the government will be probably why six think of it will definitely, as all of us know, it will yield the results back. If they give 6% to it, and the returns will be in directly in proportion to the our GDP growth also. Because once a quality education is given to all our viewers, then the whole picture of the country will definitely change for a far much for the better future of this country. So hope that they will be doing. Only thing is because of the pressing commitments, every time something or the other will happen. Because of our good neighbors, I keep telling that. Two good neighbors are there who will be always giving lots of problem to us. So because of those good neighbors, and we cannot curtail our defense budget also. Every time you have to increase that allocation. And one or the another pressing engagements will come. So that probably may be the reason, but that should not become an excuse for any government. Personally, I always feel on the health and education, no less than 6% of the GDP, government must invest.
Now we will be ending up the question and answer session. Thank you, sir, for your insights on Union Budget 2024. Your creative approach to the sharing of your insights kept us on the edge of our seats. Happy to inform that we had 384 participants registering for the webinar. So it was really a good, insightful session, sir. Your applicability of the union budget and the approach given was indeed a good takeaway for the day. Thank you once again, sir. Now, I would like to call upon Ms. Deepika, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, one and all present today. I am Ms. Deepika L., Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce. I'm here today to express my sincere gratitude to all of you for making this event a success. I would like to begin by thanking our esteemed guest, Professor Dr. S.R.Keshava, Department of Economics, Bangalore University, for taking his time out of his busy schedule to be with us today. Sir, thank you for your insightful session. I express my gratitude to Dr. Geeta ma'am, Principal, for her continuous support and guidance. Thank you, ma'am. My sincere thanks to Dr. Nagraj MS, HOD, Department of Commerce, for his support and encouragement. Thank you, sir. I thank Professor Elappa, convener of Taxation Club, for organizing such a seamless program. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank the organizing committee, Mrs. Shakila, Mr. Shivakumara, and Mr. Gokul C. for all their hard work and dedication in making this event happen. Thank you, team. Of course, no event would be complete without the participants. I would like to thank all students and professors from various colleges and universities across India for your enthusiasm and support. Finally, I would like to thank technical team Mr. Hanmant Reddy and Mr. Raviraj for their continuous support. Thank you. Dear participants,